This is Carlin on 98.7 ESPN.
Yes, it is on a Monday night. It is Carlin at 800-919-3776. History is about to be made, people. 800-919-3776 on Twitter at Chris Carlin. By all means, meet us over there. We are also on the live stream as well at ESPN 98.7 FM's Twitter handle and, of course, on ESPN New York's Facebook page. We cannot believe that we are in this position, but here we are. The New York Giants are going to win the NFC East and are going to host a home playoff game with 6 wins this coming season. This NFL season, I should say. This is history that is about to happen. Why? Why? Because the Giants are playing the best football of anybody else in the NFC East. And that is the equivalent of me telling you that I am the most healthy and in shape individual in this room currently right now. Both statements are true. It doesn't necessarily mean that they would be true in any other possible circumstance. I can't get over the fact that this is the case, but I do have to give credit where credit is due. The Giants are playing good football the last 2 games. Now, granted, they have played 2 bad football teams, but they have also lost to other teams this year where, they have been close in so many occasions that you felt like at least there was some progress being made, but they weren't quite able to get over the hump in some of these occasions. The last 2 games, they have done just that. How have they done it? They have done it because they haven't turned over the football, and the quarterback has been the reason that they haven't turned over the football. That is a phrase that we have never once used before when it comes to Daniel Jones, and it's not hard to see what's going on here. He has a better understanding of ball protection in every circumstance, not just throwing balls away, but more importantly with fumbles when he's going to get hit protecting the ball. That has been much, much better over the last couple of games. Is that going to continue? You hope so. Is the trend of continuing to throw the football away at the right times going to continue? You hope so. The key for everything in life is simply consistency. And for Daniel Jones, through his first year and a half in the NFL, that has been a key that he has continued to look for, but is yet to be able to unlock the door. Well, I'm not going to go overboard here and say that he has figured it out and the questions are all answered when it's been 2 bad teams, but they are 2 bad NFL teams. That has to be taken into account. And it also has to be taken into account that this is somebody that looks like they are genuinely developing, that is being put in circumstances to succeed by his offensive coordinator. There's clearly a relationship that has developed with Jason Garrett, that he understands now what Garrett's trying to get done, and he understands the playbook. And the number one development to me beyond the turnovers is simply this. He has full command of what's going on the field. It's the old Phil Simms saying, the game is slowing down. For Daniel Jones, the game is finally slowing down. Let me ask you a question. Think about yesterday's game. Was there a moment in that game, be it at the line of scrimmage, be it during a play, be it wherever, where he felt like he was overwhelmed? And how many times have you been able to say that before? Not often. In fact, I can count on maybe 1 or 2 fingers how many times before in his career we've been able to say that. Line of scrimmage, recognizes what coverages are, recognizes where blitzes are coming from, puts everybody where they need to be successful, dropping back into the pocket. It's not immediately trying to roll out and get himself away from the rush. No, it's standing in there and delivering the football more often than not. And when it's not there, when he takes a sack, he's got the ball protected. It's delivering the ball on time in some circumstances where there have been plenty of times before where the ball is simply there late, and that results in a turnover. That's not the case right now. He's not taking forever to deliver the football where it needs to be. There are so many good things that have happened over the last 2 games. 71% completion percentage, 456 yards, not off the charts. Hasn't thrown a touchdown pass, but hasn't thrown an interception, hasn't fumbled the ball, and most importantly, and somebody said this back when Saquon Barkley got hurt. Yes, it was me. I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I was the first one to tell you that they should run RPOs for Daniel Jones. And guess what? Since Saquon Barkley got hurt, Daniel Jones is averaging 8.1 yards per carry. Would I like to see him take less hits? I would. I think that will come in time. But the single biggest reason that the Giants are going to win the NFC East with 6 wins is going to be the quarterback is going to continue to play consistent football. I believe that to be the case because the signs are there. All you have to do is pay attention. And frankly, I thought yesterday, even though the Eagles stink, even though the Redskins last week stink, I thought yesterday this was a young man who gets it. This is a guy that finally the light switch has gone on in the room for. And what did we say 2 weeks ago? The second half of the year, because these quarterbacks don't get nearly as much time as they used to develop, has to be about Jones. We're off to a good start there. We're off to a good start. Hopefully that will continue. Will there be bumps? There will be. But I think you're going to see the consistent Jones more than you're going to see the inconsistent Jones. And frankly, I can confidently say, the Giants will win the division if they get to 6. Because look at these other teams. Look at how bad the Redskins are. Look at how bad the Cowboys are. The Eagles are awful. The Giants may be just playing the best out of all of them. Listen to the Eagles' schedule the rest of the way. They go to Cleveland. They host the Seahawks. They go to Green Bay. They host the Saints. They go to Arizona before they wrap up with Washington and with the Cowboys in Washington. And the Cowboys game is in Dallas. There's no shot the Eagles are getting to 6 wins this year. There's no chance in hell they're getting to 6 wins this year. Meanwhile, can you say that about the Giants? You absolutely can say that. Because of who they have left. They have the Bengals left. Yes, they have to go to Seattle as well. Arizona comes here. Cleveland comes here. They do go to Baltimore. Baltimore looks a little bit out of it. Can we agree on that? Even though they are better than the Giants. And the Dallas Cowboys are week 17 right here. Can the Giants win 3 of those 6 games? Not can they. The Giants will win 3 of those 6 games. They will win the NFC East. And they will be the first team in the history of the National Football League to host a playoff game after going 6-10. 800-919-3776. We hit the phones early. We hit them often. We will hit your calls in moments. You can also comment over on the video stream on the Twitter feed of 98.7 ESPN New York, or of course on ESPN New York's Facebook page. And by all means on my Twitter. At Chris Carlin, 812, shortened show tonight. So let's make the most of it. Shall we get on board now? Otherwise, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN.
All right, fourth down, game on the line.
You
Deals on wiper blades, headlight bulbs, windshield washer fluid, and more. Get a
Yo,
$15
live
gift card
stream, what
after
up?
mail-in rebate
What up,
with the
what up?
purchase of select Sylvania bulbs, plus
comments
our
in, we'll
double
use them on the
O-Rewards
air.
points. Get ready
By
for the
all
weather
means,
ahead during See
including Chris
Better,
Mauer,
Drive
who
Safer
says,
month at
"I
O'Reilly
love
Auto
Bubba."
Parts.
I like to think of a special kind of
Auto Parts. Hey, it's your homie.
Put the comments
Sorry,
in, we'll put them
it's
in.
your home. I know you don't like it when I call myself your homie. So I have some favors to ask you. Could you get rid of a few chairs in the living room? My floor
all the comments.
tired.
Oh, yeah, very cool.
Are you getting the guy from Australia again?
Bundled
Not
your
yet.
home insurance with Geico.
It's pretty cool that he listens, though. You know.
Lavender scent.
And he's actually from Australia because you would think it'd like be someone that was in the U.S. and then he moved to Australia or something like that. But I think that's pretty cool.
Let the Auto Group make your dreams of owning a luxury vehicle a reality. Voted Best Luxury Car Buying Experience by Westchester Magazine, they pride themselves on customer service and have been part of the community for over 50 years. This year, complete your holiday shopping from the comfort of your home. Visit PepeAutoGroup.com to find your dream car. During these winter sales events, get great offers. Calculate your payments, trade in a vehicle, all completely online. Right up the road this holiday season. Pepe Auto Group, a name you can trust since 1968.
Spectrum Mobile is the fastest growing mobile provider in the nation. It's easy to see why millions have chosen a better way to mobile. With Spectrum Mobile, there are no contracts. All areas, restrictions apply.
I don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar.
Go.
Yeah. Carlin, let's go. 800-919-3776. That's right. Let's start on the phones, and we will start on the phones with Rodney, who is in the car. Rodney, what do you got?
What's up, Carlin? How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Coming off this win, feeling very excited, very happy. It's still 3-17, but you know what? We're better than the Cowboys and the Redskins, and the Eagles playing out suck. Another question I have is about. Remember, I called you last week to talk about Daniel Jones and why we're so quick to judge him. Why is it that we're not more give these quarterbacks more time now? I feel like Daniel Jones, even Darnold, and even Baker from the Browns. Like, why is there questions about these quarterbacks? I mean, more with them than Jones, I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. Teams want to win before they're paying these quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks are the ones that ultimately determine the futures of head coaches, the futures of general managers. So they need to see them develop a lot quicker than they used to. That's just the way it is now. And when you look around the league and you see Tua playing as well as he is, and you see Justin Herbert playing as well as he is, and Burrow playing as well as he is, I mean, look, they still have their bumps in the road, there's no doubt, but you can see it right away. And look, it's not the case for everybody. We understand that, but you have to see it sooner rather than later now. It's just the way it's changed in the league.
Right. I don't know. Like, I feel like even like with like Lamar Jackson, like, are we now going to say that he's regressing, or is it that his team is hurt? Like, what is it? Like, how do you probably judge?
Well, I think with Lamar, I can't say that Lamar, having won an MVP, is now regressing, okay? I'm not going to do that. He's not having a good year throwing the football. And I think the biggest reason is the teams have really adjusted to what he's been doing. And they have made him work harder, so now it's on him to turn around and make the adjustment to how they're handling him defensively.
Correct. Right? That's true. That's a good point.
All right. Thanks for the call.
What do you think about thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, I mean, that was awkward. Awkward! John Carphone, next, 98.7 ESPN. Johnny.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm great, brother. What do you got?
I completely agree with you. I think that they're going to win the division. The Giants are going to win the division with 6 wins.
I mean, how are they? I mean, the bigger question right now, John, is how are they not going to win the division with 6 wins?
Yeah.
After yesterday, how are they not?
Exactly. But what I'd really like to see, though, and of course, that's going to be a lot of fun because we get more games, we get, cheer and root more. But what I'd really like to see is them to win one more a game that they're not supposed to win, and really show something. And if they could come and do that, and
what game is that?
I don't know.
Is that going to Seattle and winning?
Maybe. Who knows?
I mean, let's look at the rest of the schedule real quick and pick 3 games that they're not supposed to win. All right? Are there 3 games they're not supposed to win? They go to Cincinnati. I can't say they should win the game. I could say they have a good chance to win that game.
Yeah, let's call that a win.
Okay. They go to Seattle. That would be a loss.
Not supposed to win, so I'd like to see them. That's one.
Arizona at home. Arizona's better than they are.
They should win. That's another one.
Yep.
One of those 2 games.
Cleveland. Should beat Cleveland at home.
I think they should, yes.
At Baltimore. Should not win that game.
Should not. So
Cowboys at home should win that game.
Right. So you got Arizona, Baltimore,
Seattle,
and Arizona.
Yeah. I don't think that's too much to ask to win one of those games, but what do we know about the Giants? That they rarely, if ever, find their way to winning every single game that they're supposed to win.
Right, but would you admit that every week we're getting a little better? And look at those guys running around the field, man. They're happy doing what they're doing. This coach has got them bought in. And when you're bought in and you're passionate about what you're doing, hey, any given Sunday.
Appreciate the phone call. I'm glad you brought up the coach. Because Joe Judge is connecting with this team. But the real question is how? Why is he having the success? Why do we feel like we do about Joe Judge's ability here to be the coach? Well, I think it's a couple of things. And I've talked to people, football coaches, people around the league, people who know him from up in New England. And I think it's a couple of things in particular. One thing that we have talked about before is that Joe Judge is much more of a people person than other Belichick assistants have been. And he has made sure that that has shown up in what he's doing, if that makes sense. He hasn't gotten away from himself at all in his personality and how he relates to players. There have been plenty of people that have gotten away from themselves. Look at what Eric Mangini did. I mean, we can give you a lot of those guys from the Belichick tree who absolutely got away from who they were. Joe has not done that. And you have seen players respond to him because of that. It's, I'm going to support my guys. What Logan Ryan said a couple of weeks ago. Joe said, get out of here if you need to go and be with your wife. Don't worry about us. After she was sick. Get down to Florida. Do what you have to do. And then at the same time, Golden Tate pulls what he pulls. He sits him down for a week. He doesn't screw around. It's not, working with the scout team for just one practice or something like that. No, you're not playing next week because this is not about you. All of that stuff, that carries currency in a locker room, especially when you have other good players in that locker room. They see how they're going to be treated, and they see the guys who aren't as good can see that they're going to be good players are going to be treated a little bit similarly to what they're doing. That's important. And number two, it is not an easy thing to get guys who made the NFL because they were stars at their positions to be motivated to play special teams. So when you're a special teams coach in the league and you see that you have your group coming together, and they may not be thrilled about being on special teams. A receiver might think he's supposed to be starting. Guys who were, the left guard on special teams may be a backup offensive lineman. He may not be terribly happy about being out there on special teams. You have to motivate those guys who are not there because first and foremost, that's what they want to do with their NFL careers and NFL lives. No, see, what you have to do if you're that guy is find a way to relate to them. Find a way to connect with them. Find a way to get on the same page with them. He has incorporated not only his own personality, but also he has incorporated that motivational ability. Not to motivate players as a whole, but to motivate guys to do the things that they're not excited to do. I think that all has connected with his players. It's pretty simple who he reminds me of. He very much reminds me of John Harbaugh. Joe Judge is absolutely John Harbaugh. And if that's the case, you've got a winner. John in North Bergen is next, 98.7 ESPN. John, what's going on?
How you doing, Chris?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for taking my phone call, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right, 2 quick points real quick. As a diehard Giants fanatic since I've been 9 years old, the Joe Judge, how you've been talking lately, and the last caller said the same thing. Everyone questioned Joe Judge when they picked him, but he's proving to be the right choice, and I'm happy with it because the way the team is playing, and like you said, they are playing hard for him. So they like him, and so I think that was a great pick now. And my second point.
It's going to say a lot about him down the stretch of this season if they win the division. It's going to say an awful lot about him.
Right, but I mean, the way they're playing, you could see it on the field. Like you said, they're running all over the field. Jabril Peppers is all over. All right, Chris, and my second point was, what do you think about the defense? Because the defense is playing lights out too.
Defense is playing pretty well. You know, they were having their troubles stopping the run for a while yesterday against Miles Sanders. But defense is playing pretty well. Look, the one guy that really two guys, we have to give Dave Gettleman credit for as much as nobody really wants to, is Blake Martinez and bringing over James Bradbury. Bradbury's been phenomenal. He's been absolutely great.
Logan Ryan as well.
He's been very good.
Yes, I agree with you all the time, Chris. I do. And
even Leonard Williams has played okay, but every once in a while he gets a dumb penalty, and I know he's got the 5 sacks, but still.
Julian Love, he's coming up too. He could play. That's what I'm saying, Chris. The defense all around is improving week by week.
John, I can't argue with you, and I appreciate the call. It's getting better. I don't think it's going to be a defense that's going to stop offenses dead in their tracks. I think Carson Wentz played a big role in that yesterday. By the way, see what I'm talking about? You want to be stuck in that quarterback hell if you're the Jets? You see my point. I don't think they're going to be a defense that's going to stop everybody in their way. But I do think they're going to be more than serviceable. And they're winning the division. That's just it. That's it. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN, 800-919-3776. 800-919 ESPN. Why has the quarterback been so consistent all of a sudden? We'll discuss next. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN, 800-919-3776. Let's do it. Steve in Staten Island is next. Steve, what's going on, brother? How are you tonight?
How you doing, Carlin? How's everything? I had the pleasure of meeting you in the parking lot at a Giants game once. It was a pleasure.
I appreciate that. Was that when I was doing pre and post game, maybe?
Yeah, a few years back, yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
I called you over the summer. I know times were different, and things are starting to look a little. But about the Giants, and I spoke to you once before, and you didn't agree. But again, I'm gonna say it. It's time for people to stop listening to all the stupidity and recognize that David Gettleman is doing a good job here. He's building a team for a long-term run. The Giants are going to have good years coming their way, and we're starting to see the hints of it. It's coming. And I like David Gettleman. I like what he does. He cleared cap space over the years. He got rid of the people he had to get rid of. He's drafted very well. And look at his free agents. They're playing amazing.
His free agent signings this year have been very good. Jones is obviously playing better, and that's ultimately going to determine it for him, too. You have the problem. His biggest issues are a couple. Number one is Saquon. Saquon has not been able to stay on the field. Number two, it has taken a while to get back to where they needed to get back to. But I 100% agree that this season, though, and I'm saying this at 3-7, you are seeing enough good signs about Gettleman's year where there is the possibility that he actually keeps his job.
Yeah, and this is a very young team, very young defense, a very young O-line unit, okay? And the thing is that going forward, yeah, if they win the division or they don't, they weren't supposed to, but the experience they get out of playing meaningful games through December, in the long term, next year and on, the Giants are going to be, I feel, the best team in the NFC East for years to come. That's it.
I don't know about years to come, and thanks for the call. I would say that the Giants are, for the first time in a while, having people get excited. And it's simply out of the last 2 weeks. And the reason they're getting excited is because they're starting to see that Daniel Jones may not suck. He may be capable of not turning the football over. And if that's the case, they have a good chance. I don't know that Jones is ever going to be a superstar quarterback, but if he can avoid turning the ball over, Jones could actually be better at that. Well, I can't say that yet. I was about to say he could actually be better at that than Eli down the line, but I'm not going to go there yet. Not even close to yet. It's a couple of games. We need to see consistency. But for some reason, I look at him now, and he looks different to me than he did at the beginning of the year or even 4 weeks ago. He looks like he's in complete control of the situation offensively. He looks like someone who can lead a team. And I know that that's not aiming terribly high when you're the 6th overall pick, but from whence we came recently, that is kind of aiming high. And that's a very positive development. Omar in the Bronx is next. Omar, what do you got?
Man, big fan of you, but I'm kind of surprised, man. You're writing off the Eagles, and they're just getting healthy.
They're getting healthy, but where are they playing well? What about Carson Wentz would I remotely trust right now? What?
You know, he's a winner, and another thing.
How is he a winner? Why would I call him a winner when, frankly, he's had really one good stretch of a season, and that's been it, and that was 3 years ago. He played okay in 2018.
I'm also surprised that you're praising Daniel Jones, and he hasn't really thrown a touchdown in the last 2 games. I mean,
he hasn't thrown a touchdown in the last 2 games. I'm praising the fact that there's growth. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Daniel Jones is better than Carson Wentz. I don't know that yet. What I'm saying is I'm very down on the way Carson Wentz is playing right now. And with Jones, he's playing better. So it's only fair of me, when I have been as critical of Jones as I have been for the last 2 weeks, to point out that he hasn't turned the football over, and there have been an awful lot of opportunities for him to do that. I don't think the Eagles, with that schedule, have a shot in hell of winning 6 games. I really don't. I wish that I could be convinced otherwise, just because I still have a lot of friends down in Philadelphia. But how? How is that happening? It's not happening. They're not capable of winning 6 games. How? 800-919-3776. Open lines. More time for your calls in just moments. We'll have more on Jones in a bit. We'll get to the NBA at the top of the hour and why the Nets just have absolutely no reason to go get James Harden. I'll explain that thought process in just a little while. It's Carlin on 98.7 ESPN.
Do you hate
Yeah. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN, 800-919-3776. Continue on the phones, top of the hour, why the Nets can't go anywhere near James Harden. And y'all are still drunk if you're off the Russell Westbrook bandwagon right now. Tom in Notre Dame. Tom, are you out in Indiana? What's going on?
I am out in Indiana.
How are things for the Fighting Irish?
Pretty good. 8-0. Looking to make the playoffs this year for once.
Don't worry, you could lose the rest of your games. They'll still put you in because you're Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, I love Notre Dame, but the Giants are my main concern at the time.
Okay.
So I'm happy, obviously. I mean, this is the first time in years that the Giants are relevant in November, and that's pretty much all I ask for every year. But I think they have a real chance at winning this division just simply because, Cowboys and the football team are both very bad. And the Eagles' schedule, everybody's talking about how bad the Giants' schedule is down the stretch. The
Eagles' schedule is brutal.
Yeah, they play Packers, Saints, Cardinals, Seahawks. So really you have to think Giants really need 3 wins to get in, maybe 6 wins gets it done for them. And I don't know, I was wondering what you thought about that.
Look, I don't think the Eagles are going to get to 6 wins. I just don't see it. I don't see the Cowboys playing any better at any point. I really don't. And I fully expect that the Giants are going to win this division. Frankly, I don't even know if it's going to be much of a challenge as long as they get 3 out of the 6 wins. 3 out of 6 games. Win 3 of them. Who else is getting to 6? I don't see it. I don't see it. If they stay healthy and they are what they have been the last couple of games, I know those are a couple of big ifs, but I just don't understand why I would think otherwise right now. All right, you're gone. I know that. Jason in Queens is next. Jason, what's going on?
I was just going to talk about, the Giants, and I think they actually can get to 4 wins. I think they can beat Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dallas, and the Seahawks. On the road, the Seahawks defense is not that great.
No, it's not, but let's not get nuts here. Okay, the Seahawks are not a great team. The Seahawks are a better team than the Giants.
They are a better team offensively.
No, they're a better team, period, than the Giants.
They are, but the game can be close. And you're not talking about them being on the road with the 12th man.
No, I understand that. I understand all of that. The Seahawks, as disappointing as they have been, the Seahawks are still a better team than the Giants. And that's why I am where I am with that one. I do not expect them to go out west and win that game. You know, it's not like Seattle is 4-5, okay? You know, they've won 6 games. And they're not easy to beat out there no matter the situation. They haven't lost out there this year yet. So why would I believe for a minute that the Giants were going to go to Seattle and win a game there?
Okay, I get that. One last thing, just to add. Do you think that Daniel Jones is the 2020 Eli Manning? Not great and not poor, but, just kind of in between. Get you through and hopefully in big games can help you win. It just seems like he's kind of the replica of what Eli Manning was and has been for the Giants.
I would say this. Eli obviously made bigger plays in the pass game. I want to see Jones make some more consistent big plays in the pass game. He has done a good job of staying in the pocket and not being afraid of getting hit. I see a lot of the fear in Daniel Jones disappearing. How about that? That's about the best thing I can say right now about where he's going. That's an incredibly positive development for him.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I get that. Thank you, man. You take care.
Jason, you take care. Appreciate the call. I see where that is really disappearing from his game. The fear is disappearing. And that's everything. Everything to being a quarterback in the league. Ron in Connecticut is next, 98.7 ESPN. Ron, what do you got, buddy?
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
I'm not quite as optimistic quite yet about the Giants being able to make the playoffs. But I just want to make a point about Joe Judge and some things that people forget to see is that, early on when he got the head coaching job, he was labeled just a special teams coach, and he's had no experience. But I think that's really played to his advantage. Being a former college coach and current high school coach myself, I see the opportunity he has where he can actually just be a head coach. He's not calling the offensive plays. He's not calling the defensive plays.
Yep.
He's actually been able to just coach, and he's letting his coaches coach. And I think that has made a huge difference in the organization and the way Giants are playing right now.
I think that's a great point you're making right there. I really do. I think that's an excellent point. I think when you're a head coach and you let your staff do their jobs, and listen, occasionally you're going to step in and you're going to make the call on certain things, but you're going to just be the guy who's focused on running the entire operation as opposed to calling the plays on either side of the ball. Some guys are capable of doing it. Andy Reid's always been capable of doing it. Belichick's been capable of doing it. But so many times we have seen guys come in and they're just not capable of being that kind of a head coach where they can let everybody else do what they need to do to be successful.
Sure. I mean, you take a look at Tom Coughlin years ago when he relinquished his offensive plays to Kevin Gilbride. Things changed a lot for him. And
Tom was never calling the plays.
A lot of positive growth right now. And,
Tom was never calling the plays with the Giants.
Yet,
Tom was never calling the plays with the Giants, if memory serves. I think Gilbride was the entire time. But it's not necessarily that. There was a time when Jim Fossil gave up the play calling, and actually it started to work to his benefit until he went back to making the play call, or to doing the play calling. And, listen, it's going to work both ways. And, Ron, I appreciate the phone call. I think when you look at everything that Judge has done, it's not hard to see that his players have a terrific respect for what he has been thus far, and they understand what he's trying to be, and that's himself. He has not been anything but authentic, and that really comes across very well. I think you have to be just, if you're a player and you see that, boy, it makes you feel great. It really does. If you see a head coach who is being himself, is not trying to be something else, emulate another successful coach, especially when you come from the Belichick school. I'd respect that even more, right? I'll take what I learned from Belichick. I'll take what I learned from Nick Saban, but I'm not going to be them. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to be the kind of coach that is going to be respected by my players because they get that I'm just being me. And I'm going to treat these guys with full-on respect and fairly as well. It's not, I don't want to say it's not often that that's the case, but there's so much pressure when you get hired as a hot assistant coach to go and prove your worth right away, right? Josh McDaniels ran into that in Denver. We've seen plenty of others who have run into that as well. Judge was a name that really kind of came from nowhere. We didn't expect him to really be in the mix, but then the next thing you know, the Giants were interviewing him. They were talking about other names too, but here's this guy that kind of comes out of nowhere. And frankly, at first, when you hear things like, well, he's going to fit the Giants culture and their organization, you worry a little bit because maybe there are times where you don't want necessarily someone who's going to fit in exactly with what you want them to be. Like Pat Shurmur was a guy who just fit in to be a Giant, and that he was kind of a quieter head coach, and he was somebody that just went about his business. McAdoo was completely lost. Tom was fiery, but he knew what the Giants were about, having been around the organization as long as he was. And in comes Judge, somebody that you didn't expect to even be in the discussion, but you did hope that he would develop into someone who would fit very well, and he has done that. That's been incredibly impressive, I think. And the fact that you have been able to be a coach that's 3-7 right now, 3-7, yet everybody to a person pretty much expects you to be able to be the guy for the long haul. Who else is able to do that? They didn't get over the hump and winning a lot of games early.
20.
Who else has been able to do that? Not many people. Up next, James Harden, a big name that could be headed to Brooklyn. Why there is just absolutely no need for them to do it. Nets layoff. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN.
You're down. Sorry about that.